India's G20 presidency is coming at a time of crisis and chaos in the world. The world is going through the after effects of disruptive, once in a century pandemic, conflicts, and lot of economic uncertainty. The symbol of the lotus in the G20 logo is a representation of hope in these times.
Hello guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video we discuss about how India lead G20 conference. So let's start. India held the presidency of the G20 in 2022 and was responsible for leading the G20 Summit and other related events that took place during the year. As the G20 president, India set the agenda for the summit and worked to build consensus among G20 leaders on key global economic and financial issues. During India's presidency, the focus was on promoting inclusive and sustainable growth, with a particular emphasis on the role of innovation and technology in driving economic growth and development. India also led discussions on important global challenges such as climate change, global health, and financial stability, and worked to promote international cooperation and coordination on these issues. India also used its presidency to showcase its own economic achievements and priorities, including its efforts to improve access to finance, increase labor force participation, and promote digital connectivity. By hosting a successful G20 summit, India demonstrated its leadership in the global community and its commitment to promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth. Now we discuss about how many topics discussed in G20 conference by India. The number of topics discussed during the G20 conference in India would depend on the specific agenda set by the Indian presidency and the priorities of the G20 leaders at the time. However, some of the key topics that are typically discussed during G20 meetings include economic and financial reforms, climate change, global health, labor and employment, inequality and development, international trade, financial regulation and stability, innovation and technology, access to finance and financial inclusion, sustainable and inclusive growth. These are some of the key topics that are regularly discussed during G20 meetings, but the specific topics discussed during India's presidency may have been different, based on their priorities and the global economic and financial landscape at the time. Now our next topic is, what are benefits for India by leading G20 conference? Leading the G20 conference provides several benefits for India. International visibility. By leading the G20 conference, India gains visibility on the international stage and demonstrates its leadership in addressing global economic and financial challenges. Policy influence. India's presidency of the G20 gives it the opportunity to set the agenda for the summit and influence discussions on key global economic and financial issues. Showcasing domestic achievements. India's presidency of the G20 provides an opportunity to showcase its own economic achievements and priorities to the world, including its efforts to improve access to finance, increase labor force participation, and promote digital connectivity. Networking opportunities. The G20 provides India with opportunities to build relationships with other G20 countries and engage in discussions on key global economic and financial issues. Boost to the economy. Hosting the G20 summit can also have a positive impact on India's economy, including increased investment and tourism, as well as an influx of international delegates and media attention. Overall, leading the G20 conference provides India with an important platform for international economic cooperation and diplomacy, and helps to advance its economic and political interests on the global stage. Our next point is, How India prepare for G20? India would have undertaken a number of preparations in order to successfully lead the G20 conference. Some of the key steps that India may have taken include developing an agenda. India would have worked to develop a comprehensive agenda for the G20 summit, taking into account the priorities of the G20 leaders and the current global economic and financial landscape. Building consensus. India would have engaged in consultations with other G20 countries in order to build consensus on key issues and promote cooperation among G20 leaders. Preparing for the summit. India would have made preparations for the summit, including securing a suitable venue, arranging logistics and security, and preparing for the arrival of international delegates. Engaging with stakeholders. India may have also engaged with key stakeholders, including civil society organizations, business leaders, and experts, to gather input and ensure that the summit addresses a broad range of perspectives and interests. Raising awareness. India may have also taken steps to raise awareness about the G20 and the summit, including through media outreach, public events, and stakeholder consultations. These are some of the key steps that India may have taken in preparation for leading the G20 conference, and the specific preparations would have varied depending on the priorities of the Indian presidency and the global economic and financial landscape at the time. Thanks guys for watching my video. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon.